Hi, welcome back. So for a while now, I've been wanting to up the quality of my videos. A lot of my projects have small, intricate parts that look pretty interesting up close, and I personally think it's a nice way to look at them. The other thing about the parts is they usually have more than one interesting thing to look at. So I often find myself either turning the object by hand or holding the camera and trying to move it as smoothly as possible. I also found I like to film at a high frame rate because even with my shaky hands, I can usually find a section that's smooth enough when I slow it way down. And at some point I realized that maybe I could solve most of my skill issues with a spinning camera rig. This would let me film in macro to capture all of the interesting details and at a high frame rate, so there's plenty of time to enjoy them. Now, I'm fairly certain these already exist. Oh, well, luckily I just got laid off from my job, so not only can I not afford this, but I've got a little extra time on my hands. So instead of using my extra time to improve my writing or learn how to use the camera equipment I already have, I'm gonna make a bullet time macro spinning camera thing. And since I'll be building it from scratch, I might as well build it with all the features that I want. So instead of just spinning around the object, I want to be able to control the camera's position and how fast it gets there. All from an app on my phone. So let's get started. The first thing I should do is draw a picture, but instead, I think I'll just wing it and jump straight into figuring out how to spin the rig that doesn't exist yet. Brilliant, I know. Luckily, I have some spare parts like this brushless motor from other projects. And this is actually used for camera gimbals, so I think it might be perfect. The next thing is controlling them. I won't be using the normal RC speed controller, because in this situation I need to be able to precisely control the motor's position and velocity. Luckily, over the past year or so, I've been developing firmware for these motor controllers that will allow us to do just that. And the only thing I need to do is add support for a position encoder. Specifically, this super inexpensive AS5600 magnetic encoder. If we spin the included magnet near the sensor, we'll see it outputs the magnet's angle. And if we glue the magnet to the motor's output shaft, we'll have an easy way to read the motor's angle. PSA Max here. You are about to see me hang some expensive camera gear from 3D printed parts. You shouldn't do this, and I should not be doing this, considering I can't afford to replace them right now. This is not a how-to guide, and if you decide to make these parts and recreate the project, you should do some research into the materials you use and be sure they won't fail and break your expensive camera gear. Subscribe for more bad ideas. Anyways, back to doing exactly what I just told you not to. Now, I need a way to adapt my motor to the rest of my camera equipment. And since I have these ball head mounts laying around, I'll be using them to attach everything. And this is what I came up with. It has the quick connect features to connect it to the ball mount head. It also has a screw pattern for attaching the motor, and on the backside, a space for the encoder and wires. After a bit of fiddling with the PID values, which, by the way, is the only way I know how to tune PID values, I was able to pretty precisely control the motor's angle. So I could move on to designing the arm that everything else would attach to. The arm mounts to the motor using 3 teeny tiny screws that definitely don't make me nervous. So obviously, I'll only be installing one for now. And because the arm has inertia, I also had to retune the PID values. Who could have guessed? I also added some... Phone's going off. I also added some safety features like a velocity limit to the firmware, for no reason at all. Now onto the other end, I'm using a standard 1/4-20 screw that you would find on any other camera mounting equipment. Now, because you're smarter than I am, you'll probably notice what's about to happen when I add a camera to this. It's extremely heavy and unbalanced. And if I had spent any time at all looking at the commercially available option, I would have probably noticed that they include some weights for this exact reason. I am able to get it to spin when it's perfectly level or very close to level. And that's enough for me to test and see that the shots could be pretty impressive if I remember to set my focus properly and turn on my lights. At this point, I'm pretty happy and motivated by what I'm seeing, so to solve the balance issue, I just need to add exactly the same mass to the other side. And all I need to do is mirror the arm, which was, for once in my life, actually easy. And it didn't cause any problems at all. Oh, this is too big. As a counterbalance, I stuck this slightly broken but similar camera on the other side. I should have probably made a proper weight instead of using another camera, but I'm impatient and I make bad decisions. So right now I can arm and disarm it from my computer using serial commands in the Arduino IDE. I can also command it to move to any specific angle. And because it keeps track of its position, I can wind it up like one of those toy cars and it'll come right back to where it started. So that's great and it's working, but typing serial commands into a terminal is not a good long-term solution, at least for me. So to make this a lot easier to use, I made this web app. With the application, I can do everything I was just doing and more. And we'll get back to the and more in just a second. I think it's really important to point out that none of this requires a connection to my computer any longer, and that the motor controller does not have Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or any other type of wireless communication. So I had to use an ESP32 to give it Wi-Fi. I like its little antenna. This ESP32 is in charge of sending serial commands to the motor controller and hosting the web app that I'm using to interact with the spin cam. Spin. Cool, right? Yeah, it's pretty cool. And on top of position and velocity, arming and disarming, we can also do some choreography, in the sense that you can record a series of positions and then recall them while you're filming. At this point in the project, I would normally be done, but the last thing I should do is make it a bit less janky, so it's less inclined to having incidents. And I've already had an incident, because I accidentally jerked off one of the encoder wires. Whoa. The first thing I made was a little frame to hold all of the electronics. And this slides into a nice little case. I didn't quite get the tolerances right on the first try, and it was a little bit tight. But luckily, this was the only reprint I needed to do for the case. Around back, I've left this open to connect the 3 phases to the BLDC motor. Over on the other side... Oh, whoops! Like I was saying, on the other side, there's a foot for mounting the case to a cold shoe. This is where you connect the battery, and next to that, there's space to access the USB ports for programming and debugging. Although now it supports over-the-air updates, so maybe those can go away. Finally, there's one last thing I have to deal with, and I definitely knew it was gonna be a problem. I just chose to ignore it until it was a problem. Currently, if I use this for more than a few minutes, things start to get a little bit floppy. And I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but the arm has started to droop. And the mounting plate has started to sag, enough that it's causing problems with the encoder readings. This is happening because I printed everything in PLA. PLA gets squishy around 50 degrees Celsius. Think the inside of your car on a hot day. And a brushless motor will get this hot pretty easily under normal use. Since I'd like to avoid another incident, I reprinted everything in ASA, which is like a cheat code filament. Like PLA, it prints very easily, but is heat resistant up to 100 C, which is similar to ABS, but with a bit less warping. Using ASA gives us another, we'll say 40 degrees to work with. And I'm hoping that that'll be good enough. Also, I could only find ASA in black or gray, and I definitely do prefer printing things in pretty colors. So if you know of anyone selling ASA in not black and white color palettes, let me know in the comments. Anyways, this is starting to feel like a real thing you could buy. So I think I should probably see how much something similar would cost. Honestly, I should have done that to start with. I was able to find two similar products that have applications that allow them to do some sort of choreography similar to mine. Both products are around $500, and with everything added up for my rig, the cost is about $133. And I'll round up to $150 just to be nice. And that seems like a deal, if you don't consider the time I spent on this project, which I'm not going to. So let's say that I saved around $50 building my own compared to the original one that we looked up at the beginning of the video. But it also has some features that you can only find in equipment costing above $400. And at that point, I think it was probably worth my time to build this. I think I'm just going to leave some clips here so that you can see the type of footage I was able to capture. You can let me know what you think down in the comments. And if you want to support my channel or this project, consider joining my Patreon. Oh, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Okay, thanks, bye.